Hey there, welcome to Rabona TV, and Steven Gerrard is back in the Premier League. Via Aston Villa, of course. So today, let's look at how he did at Rangers, why he left, how things could shape up at Villa for him, and let's just jump straight in. Naturally, Gerrard's Rangers took some time to reach their height, but his first two seasons absolutely showed signs of progress. In his first full season, the 2018-19 season, they achieved their best point total, 78, since Rangers had returned to the Premiership. The 2019-20 season provided plenty of challenges, naturally, but Gerrard's team was absolutely perfect for the 2020-21 season, not losing a single match in the process and conceding just 13 goals from 38 matches. They had the league won by March 7th. His team played with plenty of intensity, as his 4-3-3 formation utilized his fullbacks to a great degree, as the likes of Tavernier would join the attack to combine with the wingers and midfielders, throw in crosses, as well as his much discussed two number 10s that would help to overload the wings. They play with a lot of width, and to compensate for that, his defensive midfielder would often drop to split his center backs and provide cover for that back line. With it all coming together, with the organization of the Rangers midfield leading to that superb defensive record and the team's quick transition to attack through their expansive fullbacks, Rangers were dominant in Scotland, and their record against Celtic was further proof of that. Yes, Celtic were not the Celtic of old that had won 9 consecutive league titles at a canter, but Gerrard's Rangers were still quite brilliant against them. In the 2018-19 season, Gerrard's first with the club, he beat them twice and lost against them twice. In the following season, he lost twice and won once. But the 2020-21 season, he won 5 times and drew once. Just an incredible record. While the current season has been good, it hasn't been as convincing as the previous one, though perhaps holding that against any manager that had an invincible season wouldn't be fair. They're currently atop the table with a 4-point lead over a much improved Celtic side. But Rangers' record in Europe under Gerrard is something that will have frustrated supporters, and Gerrard himself, I'm sure. Dropping out at the round of 16 in the Europa League against Bayer Leverkusen, and then Slavia Prague in the following season. And this season, they had the chance to qualify for the Champions League as they took on Malmo, one of the worst teams in the competition thus far, and they failed to do so. That loss at Ibrox was especially damning for Gerrard. Some cracks in Gerrard's demeanor, or at least signs of some cracks in his morale at the club, began to show in early October of this year. After 2 matches played in the Europa League, Rangers had lost both to Lyon and Sparta Prague. Gerrard hates Prague, I hear. But anyway, following the loss to Sparta Prague, Gerrard said, quote, "We have been short in 2 Europa League games, but at this level, which is improving year in, year out, if we want to keep growing and go to the extra level, we need to spend big money in the transfer windows. It is as simple as that. To compete with the teams that we are playing against, we have to spend big money. In the last 2 windows, we haven't spent a penny." Some fans have criticized him for this, pointing to the fact that the board have actually backed him by not forcing him to sell players when they could have benefited greatly financially from doing so. The likes of Morelos comes to mind, while others have sympathized with Gerrard and the lack of signings in the past 2 windows, naturally. No doubt Steven Gerrard will have been looking at his squad, at how players like Morelos, Ryan Kent, and Joe Aribo will all be in their final year of their contracts next season, having previously been linked away from the club. A move to Lille seemed to be on the cards for Morelos at one point, as well as some of the aging pieces to his puzzle, such as Stephen Davis, his reign coming to an end soon, I'm sure. And while this is all going through his head, in steps the interest from Aston Villa. Dean Smith did some great things with Villa last season, and behind the scenes, they're a club with massive ambitions. They're owned by Nassef Sawiris, an Egyptian billionaire who, according to Forbes, is the 2nd richest African businessman. Aston Villa have spent plenty of money in all of the right places. They recently upgraded their training facilities, world-class facilities. They have put a lot of money towards their academy and are starting to bear fruit from there. And of course, they have invested greatly into their squad. Interested in seeing if Gerrard looks to the academy a bit more, given, his past at the Liverpool academy. Despite the investment in the squad, Villa have so far been incapable of reaching the heights they did last season when they finished in 11th, just 7 points off of a place in the Conference League last season. The loss of Jack Grealish was undoubtedly huge for them. All of those fouls that Jack wins led to set-piece opportunities for the team, but still, given the investment that Sawiris and the ownership group made into the squad upon his sale to City, their current standing of 16th is simply not good enough and isn't befitting of the quality at their disposal. So, while Dean Smith & Co. had done a ton for the club, it felt as though he had reached his ceiling with them and wasn't able to take them any higher. Thus, he was sacked as Villa sit just 2 points above relegation after 11 matches, losing 5 consecutively in the league. There had been other job openings in the Premier League before the Villa job. Watford, Newcastle, and Norwich had all sacked their managers this season, but none of those would have provided Gerrard with an improved project than the one he had at Rangers, and no guarantees of being able to invest further in the squad either, as Villa will undoubtedly do with their ambitious project. A stark contrast to the lack of funding he would have had at Rangers and the threat of losing some key players in the coming seasons. It's by no means an easy job for Gerrard, as Villa's midfield absolutely needs some organization, something he will be able to provide, just as he did at Rangers. They have the 3rd worst defense in the league also, which is in part a consequence of their porous midfield. But Gerrard's work with Rangers last season, 13 goals scored from 38 matches, will no doubt have made him an attractive option for Villa. I mean, 20 goals conceded in 11 matches for Villa versus 13 conceded in 38 for Rangers last season. What a record. This came as a good time to bring in a new manager for Villa, as Gerrard will have the international break to train with his players and address any issues he thinks are fixable, at least in the short term. Smith had utilized a variety of shapes this season, but in a 2-0 win over Newcastle United, he played a 4-3-3 that could shed some light on how Gerrard will set this team up. Cash and Young will have to get involved in the attack. They won't take much convincing, I'm sure. Ings as the target man, El Ghazi and Buendia as the wide men combining with the fullbacks, Nakamba or Douglas Luiz playing as the defensive midfielders, McGinn through the middle as well. It will be interesting. There's potential there. One thing's for sure, they will play with a lot of intensity. They have 2 very difficult but winnable matches coming up against Brighton and Crystal Palace before Gerrard will have to run the gauntlet of Manchester City, Leicester, and of course, his homecoming on December 11th at Anfield against Liverpool. On top of giving him the international break, this is also a good time to bring him in, as Villa sit on 10 points in 16th. But the table is still extremely tight. It's still early, remember. Just 7 points separate 17th and 6th. Overall, surely Gerrard's aim, or at least his dream, will be to eventually take on the Liverpool job once Klopp's time with the club has come to an end. But if he was to go back too soon, it could all go very Frank Lampard. So I think that some time spent at Villa could be beneficial for him. And if it's time well spent for Gerrard, it will translate to time well spent for Villa. That's my opinion on things though. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like for me and subscribe if you want more from us at Rabona TV. Also, let me know your opinion on this move. Is it going to work out? Is it going to be a disaster? But aside from that, I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, guys.